Hi, this is Vicki from Grandma B's Junk Journals. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Today I want to show you the process that I use to create a tag or a bookmark that I use in junk journals, or I just give away as a gift to people that I know that are readers. So I had shared this on another video. This was put into a junk journal that I recently made, and so I just tucked that into one of the pockets. So I thought I'd go ahead and make one on video in case there was somebody out there that would like to make one, but just not quite for sure how to get started. So the first thing that I did was gather my supplies, and I have a stash of vintage sewing patterns, and I was just looking for some men. So I just grabbed these, and so the one that I chose had 3 men on it. So I went ahead and cut them out. So that's enough for 3 different projects. Today we're just going to use this one, and then I'll put these back in my stash for later on. Now, I also have an envelope that is filled with some different ephemera pieces. A lot of these are Tim Holtz. A lot of them I get from like Hobby Lobby. I used to get them from Joann's, different places that sell craft supplies, but I also get them from that are true vintage pieces, you know, from either thrift stores or auctions, antique shops, different places. But I keep all of my ephemera pieces and these envelopes here, and then I put them in a 3-ring binder, and I have done videos on that before as well. If you need some tips on how to organize your supplies, go check that out because I think you might like it. Now, for this particular project, I pulled a piece of my atlas paper page out. I have a very large atlas I got from an auction, and so I like to pull these big pieces out to use, and they last. I will have that book until I'm no longer here. There's so many pages, so keep an eye out for big atlas books. You can find them once in a while. I also chose, this is a vintage receipt book. I live in Michigan. This was at an auction, and so since it's a male project, I just thought, well, Western Oil and Gas, he can be a oil guy, right? So I just tore one of these papers out, and let's see what else. I think that's it. Oh, I did grab a napkin because I'm going to decoupage. Now, the tag that I'm using is a book board or tag board, so it's hard, you know, it's quite thick. But if you don't have those, you could use, I just pulled a couple of examples. So this is the front cover of a paper pad. You know, it's thinner, but they make great tags, so don't throw these away. Keep those for tags. Another example, I bought some sheet sets, and in the packaging there were these cards. Nice heavy duty card stock, I guess they might be. So I can cover these, I can cut them to the sizes that I want. So be on a lookout of those when you are purchasing other items. And another example is the Paper Studio. This probably had some stickers on it, and nope, some ephemera. And I like to keep those because not only can you cut this out, you know, and use that as part of your collage piece, you can actually just cut this into a tag shape and, you know, cover it with paper or whatever. Now, some of the things that you can use for background, you know, besides the receipt that I used. Here's another old scrap receipt. There is, I've got some music sheets, some book pages. They make great backgrounds. This is just an old notebook that I got that was in an auction box one time. Let's see, here's a ledger book that I found at a thrift store, and these are great to use. They're great for journaling on and also to use as part of your background. So those are some ideas in case you need them. Okay, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. I went ahead and gathered a few things that I wanted to use. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Now I am using Mod Podge and this little foam brush, and the foam brush I get from, I think I bought those either at the Dollar Tree or Walmart, and I like to use those to spread my Mod Podge. You can obviously use lots of other things, but when I'm done, I just take it. I'm out in the studio right now and I don't have any water sources out here, so I just take it into my house, put a little dish soap on it, run it under warm water, and it's good to go after it dries for the next time. Okay, so I did grab a napkin. I think I'm going to use a little bit of that as well. So on the back, I already put that sheet of receipt book paper, and I did Mod Podge it on, but I didn't put the Mod Podge on the top because I wanted it, I wanted to be able to write on it. Although I did put a little bit around the edge just to make sure it was sealed up and didn't pop back up. I do see where I did that. I'm hoping it will dry, but if not, I think it's going to be fine. And I can just ink it up a little bit and it'll be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and get some Mod Podge on my brush, and I'm going to put it down on the bottom as your base. You want to spread that nice and thin all over, and that is what you're going to be laying your pieces on. You want to make sure that the whole area is covered, otherwise it will bubble up, and you don't want that. So okay, then I had already cut a piece of the map paper to fit this size, and I'm going to go ahead and lay it right on top of that Mod Podge, which is a glue. And now there's lots of things you can use. A credit card, there's different things that you can use to, spread this all over, make sure that there's no bubbles. I, most of the time, honestly, just use my fingers and just go over it and make sure it's laying nice and flat and it's not going to come up. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and put some Mod Podge on top of that whole area, and it's ready to put the next layer. So I'm kind of building a collage up. And this Mod Podge, if you haven't used it before, it will dry clear. But I do like to use a thin layer, but making sure you get, you cover the whole surface. Because if you don't, your pieces will kind of bubble up on you, and you don't want that. Okay, then I think I was kind of, I'll be honest, I was playing around with it, auditioning the pieces where I wanted it, and I kind of have an idea of what I want. I am going to go ahead and start tearing a little bit of the napkin just to give it, a nice look on the background. I want it to look like there's, like it's a collage. I want the map to show through, but I also want some other, other layers on there. Okay, I do like that. And then I'm thinking that this guy is a traveler. So we've got the map going. I found this airplane piece. So I thought, okay, well, we could have him or it. We could have it flying up top. So I'm going to just kind of go like this. And yes, your fingers get gluey, but I have some wet wipes. I just keep baby wet wipes, and that does the trick to keep me clean afterwards. And then I'm going to go ahead and make sure that there's glue all over the top. And again, this is going to dry clear. And it does give you the ability to kind of move things around a little bit. Now I want my fella here, and there's still lots of glue there. So I want him kind of standing like this. The airplane is behind him. Now he needs to be leaning on something. So I fussy cut him, and you know, so there's a spot there. So you'll be able to see the background. Now I found these couple of stamps. This one is Paris. This one is Carlton Hotel. I wasn't quite for sure. I thought this one would be too much, and I did like this one. So after I put some glue on top of him, I'm going to kind of put this maybe like that, so his hand is resting on that sign. So maybe he's going to Paris. That's what I'm thinking. He's taking a trip to Paris. I'm going to put this Mod Podge all over him except for his little hand, because I want to put that sign underneath it. I want to make sure there's enough Mod Podge, so I want it kind of going like this, I think. Like that. Now I really wanted a stamp. I didn't want to cover that sign up, and I don't know. I was playing with it, and I'm not really liking that, but I wanted something down here. So I'm thinking I'm going to do some more of that napkin. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. And I see that his little hand is popping up, so I don't want anything popping up because it needs to lay down nice and flat. And I don't want puddles of the Mod Podge, so I'm just kind of getting some of it off. And I see that his fingers are popping up. Okay, I'm going to go over that in just a minute. Now, it is starting to glue down here, or dry down here already. So I'm going to go ahead and just rip some more of this napkin just to give it, you know, a little bit more interest down at the bottom. I don't want it huge. So I'm going to just kind of trim that up just a little bit. Let's see, pretty close. Okay, that will work. I love using napkins on these kind of projects. It just gives it such a nice added dimension, I guess maybe you would say, to these kind of projects. And it's fun. So when you're out in the world, whether you're shopping or, you know, thrifting, or at restaurants or at family members' house, I always do this to my stepdaughter because she lives in Ohio, so we go there often, and she makes fancy dinner. She's an amazing cook, and they're foodies for sure. And so I always make sure I keep an eye out for her napkin stashes, and I will snatch a napkin that I see that I think would look good in a collage. So kind of keep your eye out on some unique napkins, because they make great additions to collages. And I just brought that up. So I'm just trying to get some of that glue so we don't have puddles. And then I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll be back and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, I am back, and this has completely dried, and I think it looks pretty good. So I cut off a piece of this homespun fabric and I've attached it to the top just for a tab. I just stapled it at the top, and then I will glue that right there. But before I do that, the last thing I wanted to do was just distress it just a little bit around the edges, and I'm just going to use some distress ink. This is Vintage Photo, and I'm just going to go around a little bit. I love the fall colors. I love the way it turned out. The Mod Podge, it just dried nice and clear, and I knew it would. And so I'm just gonna go around the outside here. So this will be a nice spot on the back to journal, or you could make a list of something, you could put a photo, whatever you wanted. You could use this as a bookmark or a tag in your journal. Lots of different things you can use this for. And then the last thing I will do is I'm going to use some Fabri-Tac glue. Now, hot glue would work great. I just don't have it plugged in right now. So I'm just going to put a dot of Fabri-Tac right on top here, and that button should dry just fine. So there you have it. There is our traveling man. He's going to Paris on the airplane, and I love the colors. So I hope this has given you some ideas to make your own tags, to make your own bookmarks with just some of the things that you have in your stash maybe you haven't thought about. And so I hope I've given you some ideas. If you have liked this, please give me a like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.